Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalaka Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
I've been asked to give a talk pertinent to the subject of initiation, as the initiation will follow. Probably most of us have heard this kind of lecture many times. Following in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, I will speak that which we have heard many times. You may have noticed Srila Prabhupada, listening to his lectures, you may hear him sometimes said, I have several times said, following which we know what will follow is something which we've heard Srila Prabhupada say many times, not several times, many times. But as Srila Prabhupada commented, repetition is necessary for proper understanding. Before an initiation ceremony, Srila Prabhupada would either personally or through some of his leading disciples speak on the 10 offences to be avoided while chanting the holy names of the Lord, which in most ISKCON centers is recited daily. And Srila Prabhupada would speak, or through one of his leading disciples, have announced the significance of initiation. So I shall do so. I don't have so much time, but I'll go through all these points in the time that I have, and yata kalam yata shakti, according to the time and according to my ability to do so. The 10 offences against the holy name, we've all heard them. I can only speak for myself, but I'm quite expert in the 10 offences. But we should be endeavouring to be free from the offences to the holy name. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after describing the 64 processes, or the 64 principal processes of devotional service to Rupa Goswami, which Rupa Goswami later elaborated on in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Bhajane Madhya Shrishta Navavidha Bhakti Krishna Prem Krishna Dite Dhare Mahashakti. Of all the 64 processes, the 9 processes, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada, Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. The 9 processes are the best because they have great potency for delivering Krishna Prema and Krishna. Furthermore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Tarmadhe Sarva Shrishta Nama Sankirtan Niraparadhe Nama Loile Pai Premadham. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that among the 9 processes, the best of all is Nama Sankirtan, congregational chanting of the holy names of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that if one follows this process, he can get the wealth of love of Krishna. But there's one other word in there, niraparadhe, which means without offences. If one chants without offences, one can attain the wealth of love of Krishna. On the other hand, we also find in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, well, there are so many quotes about the holy name, about chanting the holy names. Krishna mantra hoite hobe samshamocham, Krishna nam hoite pabe Krishna charam. By chanting the Krishna mantra, one is relieved from material existence. By chanting the name of Krishna, one attains the lotus feet of Krishna. In this way, there are many, many verses glorifying hearing and chanting about Krishna. There's also the warning, Bahu janma kare jadi shravan kirtan tabutta na pai Krishna pade premadhan. That even though hearing and chanting about Krishna is the process especially recommended in this age for attaining love of Krishna, it is possible to hear and chant about Krishna for many lifetimes and not get the result. If one is doing so offensively. So we should know what these offenses are. And hopefully most of us know what these offenses are. At least we can list them. But it's good that we also understand what they are. Consider them from time to time. So the first offense is sadhu ninda, which Srila Prabhupada translates as to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating Krishna consciousness all over the world. The word ninda covers a wide spectrum. Within English we have terms from criticize up to blaspheme. So to blaspheme, to enviously ascribe faults to persons who are very dear to Krishna because they are doing what Krishna wants, to spreading Krishna consciousness. Or even any devotee. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching is, what is that? Prani matre udbegana, that to not give disturbance to any living being. We find in Chaitanya Charitamrita, taken from Skanda Purana, the narration of a hunter who, by the mercy of Narad Muni, became so exalted in spiritual life by Krishna consciousness that he didn't even like to tread on an ant. He took great pain not to tread on an ant. We can't imagine in the modern age in which great intelligence and money is invested in making highly efficient mechanized slaughterhouses for killing. People are very concerned about genocide and human rights, and they hold peace conferences in which they serve exquisite dishes of very expertly prepared meat preparations. So the whole society is dedicated to animal slaughter, giving pain to others. The Vaishnava should not give pain to anyone, but especially I should not criticize a devotee. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gave the example, what happens if one attempts to blaspheme a Vaishnava. He said it's like spitting at the sky. You can't reach the sky is not affected. Someone who's in very high consciousness is not disturbed by someone who in low consciousness attempts to blaspheme them. But if you attempt to spit at the sky, what happens? It comes right back in your face. So it's most harmful to our own Krishna consciousness if we indulge in blasphemy of persons who have dedicated them, particularly devotees who are preaching pure Krishna consciousness. Much more could be said about that. There's little time. Then the second offense is to consider that the names of demigods are equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Or to consider that to glorify anyone other than Krishna is also kirtan. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, is a description Narad Muni describes in his previous life, or one of his previous life. He was a good singer, a Gandharva. He was expert in singing. He was born with the musical ability. But he used that in the heavenly planets at a festival that was organized for glorification of Vishnu. He used his musical talent to sing what Srila Prabhupada called cinema songs. Of course, I presume there weren't cinemas there, but Srila Prabhupada used that as a generic term. Mundane songs meant for entertainment. for which fault he was cursed by the demigods. He was sent down to become a Shudra, sent down to this planet. So to consider that there is Ganesh Kirtan, Kali Kirtan, Sai Baba Kirtan, even to consider that others are to be glorified on the same level as Lord Vishnu, what to speak of chant their names in the Kirtan form that is specifically meant for glorifying Lord Krishna. It is an offense to Krishna. Now in America it's become popular, some kind of Kirtan in which they chant the names of Krishna and then the different demigods' names with the Mayavad misconception that all are the same. Just chant any name, do whatever feels good. And the whole idea of chanting what we like to chant because it makes us feel good is offensive to the holy name. And there's a lot of that going on. If it makes me feel good, it's kirtan. Either glorification of myself to show what a great singer I am, to show what big muscles I have, I can pound the drum so heavily, or to enjoy the sound of this singing without thinking how this is actually meant for Krishna's pleasure and not my pleasure. These are all offensive attitudes in chanting, and by such chanting, people in general may be pleased, but Krishna won't be pleased. So the result of chanting is not actually bhakti, but it's antithetical to bhakti. It's offensive. The third offense is guru avagya, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master or consider him an ordinary person. This is maybe for people in the West the most difficult, especially in America, the land of the brave, the land of the free, in which free speech, rugged individualism, etc., etc., are propagated as American ideals. Of course, it's just a bunch of baloney. Everyone is tied into who's free? Everyone's tied into the economic system. But the idea that one has to accept orders from someone who's not paying you for doing so, because is considered an affront to human dignity. That if you're paid, then you can take some orders. Otherwise, why should you do what anyone says? We should be free. This is mind control. This is manipulation. Actually, it's a fact. Unless the guru is actually giving instructions by which the disciple is benefited, then it is manipulation. And there has been and is ongoing a lot of it. A lot of what is called guru-disciple relationship is manipulation and exploitation. Or we have another kind of guru in the modern age, who is considered a spiritual guide. Srila Prabhupada translated guru as spiritual master, but often it's preferred spiritual guide. There's a big difference between those two terms. You just have a guide, and you're just nice guy. You keep a picture of the guru, and if you remember, offer a little incense in the morning, and when you see him, fold your hands together. And maybe if he behaves yourself, you can give him a little money to make him feel good and make you feel good. But spiritual master means Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurin Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We offer respect for having delivered me from the darkness of ignorance by opening my eyes with the application of knowledge. So this relationship is a very serious one. We often hear about guru-disciple relationships, and sometimes thought the guru-disciple relationship, well, the most important thing is he should smile at me or say something to make me feel good. We see that Krishna, once the Arjuna accepted the role of disciple to Krishna, the first thing Krishna said was, called him, in Srila Prabhupada's words, a damn fool. Vasochanam vasochas tvang pragyavadam chabhashase tatasum agatasum cha nanu shochandi panditaha. You're speaking as if you're really speaking as if you know what you're talking about, but actually learned people don't talk such foolish words as you do. If you actually know what you're talking about, then why are you so confused? This is the implication. So, spiritual master means one accepts a spiritual master not, as Srila Prabhupada said, like a pet dog. Come here, pat him on the head, okay, go away. Many years ago, in Calcutta, one devotee told me he'd visited members of one big business family there. And he said to them how we are preaching the message of Bhagavad Gita. And he said, well, we're also preaching. We just sent our guru out on a preaching tour. So this idea that, okay, now you go, and tell him what to do. There's not spiritual master. Spiritual master means one accepts the instruction with the faith that by doing so, my best interest will be served. Even if I don't understand it fully, I should do so. Of course, blind faith is not advisable. Krishna never asked Arjuna to blindly follow what he said, and Arjuna asked many questions. Arjuna even repeated himself several times. Krishna wanted Arjuna to follow, but on the platform of understanding. But the basic instructions should be followed. At the time of initiation, one vows to chant, and the basic is to vow to follow 4 regulated principles and chant a fixed number of rounds. But it's understood that on top of that, everything else should be followed according to the principle anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. One should accept everything that is favorable for advancing in Krishna consciousness and reject everything that is detrimental to our advancement. And there are many rules which, again, especially in the modern age, people might think it's fanatical or too much. But just like we can buy food anyway, and hopefully it's vegetarian if we don't look too carefully at the ingredients listed on the packet. There are so many nice things we can eat, but a devotee vows only to take Krishna prasada, which means that which is cooked specifically by devotees for Krishna's pleasure and offered to Krishna with love for his pleasure. This is the devotee's vow. Without following this, then Abhishayarana Kaile Molin Hoimon, the mind becomes contaminated by eating food which is cooked or offered by sensually inclined people. So there are many such rules to follow. One should associate with devotees. One should utilize one's time for activities of hearing and chanting about and serving Krishna. Accepting initiation means to accept a way of life which is fully centered on Krishna. It's a great challenge, especially in modern America, which the whole atmosphere is antithetical to a life of sense control, a life of commitment to the principles of Krishna consciousness. So, nevertheless, one who takes initiation vows to do so. So those who do so, please do so. It is seen that many, after accepting initiation, they come to the standard of initiation, which is, it's not a small thing. In one sense, initiation is the beginning. Yet on the other hand, we don't accept people for initiation unless we see that they're very serious to follow the path. It's not an easy path. In some ways it's easy. I mean, if we see what people had to do in previous ages to become spiritually realized, or what Dhruva Maharaj did, then simply to chant and follow a few principles is quite easy. But considering the whole culture and way of life in America, it may seem very difficult to do. And many who take to that, they come to the standard, which is, it's quite a standard to come to this level that I vow to follow these principles throughout my life. It's a great commitment. Some don't follow that through, but that is not good. Having taken this vow, one should very strictly adhere to it, despite all difficulty. The fourth offense against the holy name is to blaspheme the Vedic literature, or literature in pursuits of the Vedic Russian. Shruti and Smriti means basically the Vedic literature. The holy name, the glories of the holy name are established within Shastra. One should follow the rules of Shastra. One should not think that, well, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, so I don't need to follow the rules of Shastra, or they don't apply to me, or they're not meaningful, or Vyasadeva was wrong, Prabhupada was wrong. Any such thoughts means that we are wrong, and we don't attain love of Krishna. So that's another great step, to have faith in Shastra, which much of what is stated in Shastra is contrary to that which is stated in our school books, that which we see on TV, if we are so stupid as to watch TV, that which is generally accepted by people in general. But to think that Vyasadeva is wrong, and for instance Stephen Hawking is right, is an offense to Vyasadeva, and an offense to the holy name. So one has to have firm faith that what Vyasadeva has given, what Krishna has given, what all the acharyas have given, what Prabhupada has given, which is all based on the knowledge of Shastra, that is correct. To postulate otherwise means that we offend the Shastra, we offend Krishna, we offend Vyasadeva, we offend all the acharyas, and we don't attain love of Krishna. The fifth offense is to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna as imagination. Some people, they think that, well, in Shastra it's stated that simply by chanting Hare Krishna you can get free from all sins, and such statements, they are there to encourage people in this pious activity of chanting Hare Krishna. But actually it's not really true, but it's just there to encourage people. That one cannot actually attain love of Krishna or get free from material existence simply by chanting. But anyway, let people think like that. Let them chant, it's good for them. So people who think like that are also offenders to the holy name. This is clear in the anecdote described in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, when one Gopal Chakravarti, who was supposed to be a highly learned Brahmana, blasphemed Haridas Thakur for Haridas Thakur's statements that simply by chanting the holy name one can get freedom from material existence. Similar is to put some mundane interpretation on the holy name. To think that the name of Krishna is allegorical. As one Swami from South India, who's now house guest of a great devotee named Yamaraj, said, Krishna means black, black means unknown, therefore Krishna means unknown. Therefore no need to try to understand Krishna. So, malinterpretation. Instead of understanding Krishna as Arjuna understood him, Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhava. As Brahma understood Krishna, or Brahma expressed his inability to understand Krishna because Krishna is so great. We try to relegate Krishna as the so-called Indologists. Some of them, they postulate that the tribal god Krishna, his identity became conflated with that of the Vedic god Vishnu. And in this way they make up so many theories, which Manasijam, born from their imagination, in which they try by their supposedly clever interpretations to avoid Krishna and relegate Krishna to the realm of mythology or to the realm of being nondescript or unimportant. So such interpretations are certainly offensive to Krishna. The eighth offense is to consider that chanting of Hare Krishna is a pious activity, such as those which are given in the Vedic literature for elevation to the heavenly planets or for mitigation of sinful reactions. Many processes, religious processes are offered in the Vedic literatures, performing sacrifices, performing vows, going on pilgrimage, fasting, performing yoga practice. So many such activities are offered, and they are undertaken for the sake of acquiring punya or pious results by which one can go to the heavenly planets, have a good birth in the future life, become free from sinful reactions. So some karma kandis, or persons who are on the path of Vedic pious ritualism, they consider it very generous of themselves to admit the chanting of the holy names to be such a process. You can also chant Hare Krishna. That will also help you go to Swarga. It's not as good as performing sacrifices, but it's not a bad start. They may have such an opinion. But the chanting of Hare Krishna, the chanting of the names of Krishna, is a process on a level which is superlatively higher than any mundane process. The actual kirtan, glorification of Krishna, actual glorification of Krishna is a process which is beyond the three modes of material nature, beyond material desires, beyond even the desire for liberation. It is the pure function of the soul, the liberated soul who understands that I am not this body, I have nothing to do with material enjoyment either in this life or in future lives. My only function, the only meaning of my existence is to glorify Krishna. One who chants the names of Krishna with such an understanding is an actual performer of the kirtan of Krishna. And others who think that, well, we're doing it because let's do it to get some material benefit, Just like in Bengal, in the summer, if the rain comes late, it's very hot and all the ponds are dried up and people are suffering in the heat, then the local villagers, they may get some water from somewhere or other and go and they have a kirtan party and throw water here and there with the idea that by doing so, by chanting the names of Krishna, that will invoke rain to fall. And then they say, oh, very good. We chanted Hare Krishna and the rain fell. But that the rain will fall to invoke the chanting of Hare Krishna or the names of Krishna for some material result, rather than for serving Krishna, praying to Krishna. The names of Krishna, chanting the Hare Krishna mantra means to pray, O Krishna, O energy of Krishna, please engage me in your service. Instead, if we want to engage Krishna in our service, that our mundane service, then that's offensive to Krishna. Offensive to the Holy Name. The ninth offense is to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting Hare Krishna. If we think, well, we can get free from all sinful reactions by chanting Hare Krishna, great. So, never mind if we do some sins. We'll chant Hare Krishna, we'll get free from that. So such a mentality is so wicked that even punishment in hell, that cannot free us from that offense. It's such a perverted mentality that I shall use. It's like passing stool and asking Krishna to clean up, something like this. It's a very sinful mentality. So that we can be free from all sins by chanting the holy names doesn't mean that we should commit sinful activities. Actually, if one is serious to be a devotee of Krishna, must vow to be free from all sinful activities. One cannot be sinful and pure at the same time. Nor can we think that, well, I'll just do whatever I like and we'll just chant. And Krishna is very kind. He'll deliver us. He won't mind. Krishna loves his devotees, so I'm a devotee, so what does it matter if I do a little sin here and there? But the symptom of a devotee is that of an actual devotee, is they're not inclined to perform any sinful activity whatsoever. The 10th offense, which includes everything else, all that's been stated, plus everything else, is to maintain the sense that I am separate from Krishna. I am this body, and sense enjoyment for this body is the goal of my life, even after being instructed on the actual purpose of chanting Hare Krishna. If we deliberately maintain material attachments or materialistic outlook on life, or we don't accept the teachings of the Shastra, then that's also offensive. And also, it's also stated to be offensive to be inattentive while chanting the holy names, to not endeavor to actually pray to Krishna. Chanting Hare Krishna is the prayer to Krishna. O Krishna, O energy of Krishna, means Radha Krishna. Please engage me in your service. So this chanting Hare Krishna, the Hare Krishna mantra, is the perfect prayer to Krishna, to Radha and Krishna. In Vrindavan, people generally chant Jai Radhe. In reply, Srila Prabhupada would say Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna means praying to Radha and Krishna together. Radha and Krishna like to be together. So devotees, they like to invoke the names of Radha and Krishna. Not that we'll separate Radha from Krishna, or conceive of Radha as separate from Krishna. What is it? Krishna nama kare bhai Radhika charana pai, Radha name pai Krishna Chandra. By chanting the name of Krishna, we get Radhika Chara, the lotus feet of Radha. And by chanting the name of Radha, we get Krishna. Because Krishna is interested in Radha and Radha is interested in Krishna. So if we're actually interested in serving Krishna, we have to be interested in serving Radha. And if we're actually interested in serving Radha, then we have to serve Krishna. And the perfect way to serve them both is to chant the Hare Krishna mantra without offenses. So a few words about, I don't have much time, in fact I'm over time, but I'll go over a few minutes. Initiation, the importance of initiation. Well, there's one verse in Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by Lord Krishna, which Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he stated, I will go on preaching this up to my last breath. So, everyone who's preaching Krishna consciousness and everyone who's practicing Krishna consciousness should know this verse, if not the Sanskrit, at least the import. Labdvasu durlabhamidam bahusambhavante manusham artadam anityam apihadhira turnam yate janapatadanu mrityayava nishrayasaya visha kalu sarvatasya. Lord Krishna instructs that having attained this human form of body, which is very rarely attained, it's only attained after many births, one should consider that this human life, although temporary, it will be finished in moments. In cosmic time, our lifespan is less than that of a sneeze of Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma sneezes and we've already been through 20 bodies in his sneezing time. It's momentary, kshana bhangu. But at the same time, this human life is very valuable. Because in human life, and especially in human life in this planet, after the advent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have the great opportunity to get free even before Lord Brahma finished his sneeze from birth and death and attain to the lotus feet of Krishna. Lord Brahma sneezes and what happened? Oh, good, went back to Godhead while I was sneezing. So, considering this, we should do what an intelligent person should do, whatever is required, so that before this present bag of bones falls down, which it is destined to do, we don't have to take birth again. We heard today so many devotees' birthdays. Every day is a death day. Every day we're moving closer to death. Birthday means it's so many years closer to the next death. How are you? People ask, how are you? Means, how many deaths? How close are we to death? Ayu harati vaipumsam udyanastam chayalaso tasyarti katita hayarta. What is that? No, I'm getting mixed up. How does that go? Uttama shlaka vartaya. Now, that with every rising and setting of the sun, our lifespan is being decreased. We say, oh, beautiful, beautiful morning, nice sunset. Means another day has passed. The lifespan is being decreased, except for those who utilize their time in discussing topics of Krishna. So having attained this human life, we should do whatever is required so that we don't get born again. And if we think that, well, I could enjoy myself, I'm young, I'm healthy, the world is so wonderful, there's so many things to enjoy, why not enjoy myself? Then we should consider that we've already enjoyed ourselves in so many lives, and if we don't get serious about Krishna consciousness, then we're going to have to enjoy ourselves again as a cat and a dog or or a worm in cat stool or dog stool, and so many other forms of life are there. So considering this, we should do whatever is necessary to be Krishna conscious. That requires guidance. That Krishna has made the system, that one should accept a guru for guidance. There's a theory, somewhat popular in the modern age, that, well, we just read Prabhupada's books, and then that's all you do, and then you're initiated. But for practical guidance, we need personal guidance, and even how to understand Prabhupada's books. So many people say so many things apparently based on Prabhupada's books. And there are so many positions and ideas and theories. Some people say, well, Prabhupada was wrong here, and modern science has proved that actually this and this and that and that. And we come to spiritual life with our sincere intentions and lots of misunderstandings. So good intentions are not enough. We require to be guided on the proper path and to receive the mercy of Krishna and all the Vaishnavas. So accepting initiation means to accept a personal guide, a specific guide, or master, as Srila Prabhupada used that word, and many guides actually. We find the first words of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Vande Guru. We offer our obeisances to all the gurus. So we have many gurus. When we say, just like I am at least formally, or trying to be a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he mercifully initiated me into Krishna consciousness. But I have many gurus. Srila Prabhupada wanted, and here in this temple we see, he wanted that in all his temples there be pictures of the gurus, the acharyas in recent times, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Prabhuji Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. So they're all our gurus. We have many gurus. They're all guiding us. We're linked to Krishna through this chain. And in the present day also, anyone who gives relevant instruction, helpful for our advancement in Krishna consciousness, they may be considered our guru. In fact, Srila Prabhupada, before he came to the West, when in Delhi, a librarian suggested to Srila Prabhupada that instead of concentrating on producing magazines, why don't you write books that will be taken more seriously? Srila Prabhupada considered that his guru was speaking through this librarian. So the librarian certainly was not on the same platform of spiritual dedication, advancement and realization as Srila Prabhupada, but Srila Prabhupada, because he was so much attuned to the instructions of his guru, found his guru's voice in a person who was, from that own person's point of view, simply offering Srila Prabhupada's, who he didn't know the position, the spiritual position of Srila Prabhupada, what he considered some well-wishing advice. So all the Vaishnavas, those who dedicate their lives in the service of Krishna, they're all our well-wishers, and we can, especially those who are seniors, we can take their guidance and advice along the lines Anukuyasya Sankalpa Pratikuyasya Varjana. Whatever is favorable for our advancement in Krishna consciousness, we should accept. That which is detrimental to our advancement in Krishna consciousness, we should reject, and anyone who instructs us along these lines should be respected as our guru. There is much more to be said on this subject, but at the moment there is lack of time. So we'll go on with the proceedings, which is to call the two candidates for initiation, and they can say their vows and take their beads here, and then we'll go outside, and the yajna and all that will go on over there. Rupa, son, physical son and spiritual son of Ruchi Sevana Prabhu, as is known to the members of this community. How long have you been? When did you first come to this Alachua community?
At least
5 or 6 years. So it's known to the members of this community. Has recently been serving in the United States Armed Forces in India. Is that correct? Well, Afghanistan used to be part of India. Stan. There are so many stans. Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Tatarstan. So they all have this Afghanistan, as Srila Prabhupada notes, Kandahar is the place of Gandhari, of Mahabharata fame, one of the great satis, the chaste wives, Gandhari, wife of Dhritarashtra. So he's recently serving there, which is very dangerous. The whole material world is dangerous. Some places physically are more dangerous than others. The whole material world is dangerous. At any time we can slip into sinful activities, and most of the soldiers serving there, they take sinful activities to be the norm. So it requires great determination to serve in an army. It requires great determination to serve Krishna. And in those circumstances to maintain one's Krishna consciousness. And even one's diet is very difficult. It requires determination and courage. It requires great courage to take initiation in Krishna consciousness. Especially in the modern age, in America, where so many people may discourage you. Oh, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? How can you trust anyone? It requires great courage and commitment and faith to do so. Maybe more than the courage and commitment and faith that is required to serve in the physical army. So, we congratulate you on your decision. So please offer obeisance to Srila Prabhupada, to Sri Sri Gaurnitai, Sri Sri Radha Shyamsundar Krishna Bhagavan. We're all here by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. We all know that, but just like we recite the 10 offenses, we can recite it again and again and again. Jogata bichare kichu nahi pai, tomara karunasha. If we examine what are our qualifications, just like in India, people always ask, one of the first questions people ask you, what are your educational qualifications? So, if we ask, what are your spiritual qualifications? And if we examine Bhakti Thakur, he says, giving us instruction, he who is most spiritually qualified, he says, if you examine my qualification, you'll find nothing. Nothing. But Tomara Karunasha. Now one qualification is to have great faith in the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So by his mercy, we're going on It's no small thing. To be a disciple in the modern age is no small thing. To accept the duty given by our acharyas to accept others as disciples. So we're all praying for the mercy of the Vaishnavas to discharge our responsibilities in the service of Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara. Hare Krishna.
So, where are those people?
Yeah, so please tell me what are the four principles and how many rounds to chant? David.
No meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex. Chant 16 rounds, a day march.
Yeah, okay, very good. It's a formality to us this. In one sense, the whole ceremony is. Please be careful. This side. In one sense, you could say the whole ceremony is a formality. But it's an important formality. It's a formal commitment. Before initiation, one may or may not, but after initiation, it's a very serious commitment to follow all these things. That's what it says. So, on behalf of Srila Prabhupada and all the acharyas in the Parampara, just changing your name, adding to your name a little bit. The word Rupa will stay, before it one word, and after it one word. Your name is Krishna Rupa Das. Thank you for your enthusiastic congratulations. Please extend all your blessings and good wishes to him. You may take blessings from all the senior Vaishnavas here. Krishna Rupa. Srila Prabhupada said the most important part of the name is Das. We should know whose Das we are. So, the servant of the form of Krishna. Or Rupa means beautiful, so beautiful Krishna. Yeah, Bhakti, Amy, please come and bow down before Srila Prabhupada and all the deities and your initiating spiritual master. Bhakti Amy is not well known here. I think it's the first time visiting here. She's from New York area. And maybe she likes not to be known. She's quiet and shy. Humble Vaishnavi. But everyone has their role to play in Krishna's service. There are many, many humble Vaishnavas who, they don't get biographies written about them, they don't have disciples, but they faithfully serve Krishna through their lives and they go to Krishna. There may be many, many thousands like that. So we have to see if Krishna is pleased. That's the whole purpose. As Srila Prabhupada wrote in one purport, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he said, everyone should simply serve Krishna to their best capacity. It's not that everyone has to be like Ramanujacharya or Madhvacharya. If one, even once, with feeling offers Krishna even a leaf, Krishna will be so satisfied that he will think, I cannot repay the debt. Now I have to give myself to this devotee. So we need all kinds of devotees in our Krishna conscious movement, front line, and those who are setting a very nice example by their simple, humble service. And sometimes those who are less well known, or they come up unexpectedly. Prabhupada wasn't considered a great devotee by his godbrothers, but he came up. So better to be in like a needle and out like a plow than in like a plow and out like a needle. So, yeah, please, my arm isn't so long. Ajana Lambata Bhuja, I'm not so. Please sit comfortably. Sit comfortably. You can sit like this. You hear Prabhupada saying, sit properly. So, you sit like this. Yeah, please say the 4 regulated principles. Okay. Just one point. This tilak, the two should be joined together, not separated. Then, how many rounds on these beads? The end of chapter, minimum 16 rounds. So, on behalf of Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara, I'm giving you a name of Srimati Radharani, whose servant we all are, or we aspire to be the servants of the servant. Your name is Adi Shakti Devi Dasi. Adi Shakti. Krishna has many potencies, and they all act to please him. And the source of all of them, the first is Radha, who is known as Adi Shakti, or the original energy or potency of Krishna. And you are a servant. Hare Krishna. So, okay, so the ceremony will continue outside, as there's a rule against fires inside the temple. The only fire that is allowed inside this, there's on the altar, offering with incense and ghee, and the fire of the Sankirtan Yajna, that should go on continuously in the temple.